Okay, so we have seen a lot of Nike Airmax release this year in 2025 already. And you know, there's a lot of people that have these Nike Airmax 95 Neons on their top 10 sneakers of the year list, and the big bubble version has a lot of people talking. People have said that this is the best Air Max 95 version yet. However, a newer version of the Nike Air Max 95 dropped today thanks to the Nike SB team, and we are going to get to the bottom of if it is the best Air Max 95 version ever. So we have the Nike SB Air Max 95 Cactus Flower. Now there is so much to unpack with these. Are they more comfortable than standard Air Max 95s? Do they look better? How do they fit? And do we like how this sneaker was rolled out? Do we like who announced that these were dropping and the face behind the Nike Air Max 95 SB? There's a little bit of drama there. We're gonna talk about all of it right now. So currently on the market, there are 3 different versions of the Nike Air Max 95. You have the OG Big Bubble, which you see here. You have the standard Air Max 95 that we've seen over the years with no changes. There are definitely still some of these out there in new colorways. And then we have the Nike SB version down at the bottom. Now, as far as which version the SB most resembles, it is the traditional Air Max 95. And with skateboarding, you want to be able to feel your board, so a bigger air unit really doesn't work. And realistically, they were probably designing this shoe before this big bubble came out, if I had to guess. I have no facts to back that, but that's just my guess. And they probably want the OG Big Bubble to be its own thing. But we will talk which one is more comfortable and which one I think is better towards the end of this video, how the fit is. We're gonna talk about all of that. But real quick, just know that the standard Air Max 95 that you see at like JD Sports or Foot Locker or some of those other places is very similar to the Nike SB version, and most of the changes that you're gonna see between these two are inside the shoe. So the inside of the shoe is mostly thinned out, and you can tell when you put these things on. So you're a little bit closer to these outer materials, and on the inside of it, there is a reinforced piece. I'm not gonna be able to show you unless I cut these bad boys open, but it feels like a soft, smooth panel on the inside of the shoe. Sometimes laterally on a lot of Nikes, you'll feel these different panels and the stitching on the inside. You can't feel it on these. I don't know how they did that. I don't know how they reinforced it, but also made it thinner. So you would think it would be the other way around, that there would be extra panels and more stitching, and that would make it more uncomfortable. No, like somehow they made these thinner, but more reinforced. So the Air Max 95 was designed by Sergio Lozano, and it takes design inspiration from the human body. You've probably heard this story. I've talked about it on this channel a lot before, so I might skip over a lot of those details as far as inspiration goes, but I do want to point out some changes. So with the outsole right here, this is supposed to be inspired by the human spine, the backbone. So right here, the vertebrae, this is solid on the Nike Air Max 95 standard version, but then on the SB version, it's a lot softer. There is more give there. And then the traction pattern. It's not that standard waffle lug. This is herringbone, so it is gonna grip the board and the ground a lot better. I also like that this is gum. That is a nice little touch right there. Lacing system is no different with that speed lacing going on. The mesh on the SB version is definitely a little bit more robust, a little bit more sturdy, and you can tell. See how you can see those volt hits through that black mesh there pretty easily? You can't really see the Cactus Flower as easily. You can see it, but just that mesh is a little bit more tightened up. And the other thing that jumped out at me, these different layers, which are supposed to represent fibers in the human muscles, each one of these is a little bit more dense, and it covers over that lacing system a lot better. So these channels here are a little bit deeper, and I like that. And then you can notice that the airbags are a little bit thinner, again, for board feel. So that is a really important feature on a skateboard shoe. You want to be able to feel your board. There's definitely more differences, but I don't want to bore you guys, and we have more to talk about in this video. So for one, sizing. How do these fit? How is the sizing on the Nike SB Air Max 95 Cactus Flower? Does it fit like these do? No. No, no. They don't at all. with this standard Air Max 95 version, you have to go a half size up, if not a full size up. And even when I do that, these things fit like crap. This pair right here, by the way, I'm selling tomorrow. These are different. They address that. So believe it or not, these are an 11 and a half. My true sneaker size is a 12. And I tried them on and I was like, whoa, okay. These kind of fit. They were snug. I do have a size 12 on the way though, so not too worried. Which just came in right now. I was able to get 11.5s from my local skate shop. They hooked me up maybe a tad bit early, but that's the only size they could give me, an 11.5, which is a half size down from my true size. So I have them here in a 12. Let's try them on. Oh yeah, I already know that these are gonna be perfect. So my recommendation would be that if you go with your true size, they're gonna fit beautifully. You don't need to go a half size up with these unless you have super wide feet. Like I said, these are an 11 and a half and like they fit. They're a little bit snug on the toes. Since I went down a half a size 12, my true size would fit me great. So that is my 2 cents. If you have the OG Big Bubble only, which also fits pretty true to size, but I still would like to go a half size up on the Big Bubble, I don't feel like I need to do that with these. And again, I think it just goes back to how thinned out these are and where you sit in the shoe, you're lower when you put these on. Like you are right above this air unit. Even the insole, which is pretty good in there, it's stuck pretty good. It is super thin. You sit as low as you can in these Air Max compared to any other Air Max that you have. It's not that immediate step in, wow, these are the most comfortable shoes I've ever put on, but they feel better than most other Air Max 95s. They feel more comfortable than 97s. I'm not gonna say they feel more comfortable than 90s, but they feel pretty good comparatively to other Air Max. Now, is this a top 10 or top 5 sneaker of 2025? For me, there's a good chance they're on that list. It is easy to get caught up in the hype of the Air Max 95 Neon. So many people are gonna tell you this is the best Air Max ever. It's pretty darn good. Don't get me wrong. It is pretty darn good. It is definitely a classic, but it's not a shoe that I was always able to get when I was younger, and it's not one that I always coveted. You know, for me personally, the best Air Max ever is these right here. And a lot of people will choose sides between the 95 Neons and the infrared 90s. I know it's gonna be controversial, but the fact that these are more comfortable and something new, I really appreciate. So TBD, you'll have to wait till the end of the year when we go over my top 10 sneakers of the year list. But right now, I'm liking these more than the Neons. And I know it's just crazy to think. Sometimes I'm drawn to stuff that's new, and I do like the color blocking on here, how it's similar to the Comet Red, more so than the classic gray panels that are on those. We'll see. I'm gonna wear both more throughout the year. We'll find out. All right, so I've had these on for about a half hour now, and they've broken in nicely, and I can honestly tell you that I do think that this is the best version of the Nike Air Max 95 that I've owned. They're more comfortable and they fit better than the standard 95s, and they're a little bit closer to the Big Bubbles as far as fit and comfort goes, but they're just a little bit comfier and they fit a little bit better. So it's a good pair. By the way, I did notice that resale prices on these have dropped a little bit, like just a little bit over retail. So now would be the time to grab a pair if you're interested. I'll link them for you guys down in the description, by the way. The lowest price that I can find. They probably got overshadowed by the Air Jordan 4 Undefeated collab and the Air Jordan 10 Steels. Now, unfortunately, this release comes with a little bit of controversy. This shoe and the upcoming Air Max 95 Eric Costin, both of those it's interesting to think about how that came to be. Why did Nike choose the Air Max 95 to be the next SB sneaker? So you went from the Air Jordan 4 SB to the 95, okay? Why did that happen? Why that choice? Is it because it's the 30th anniversary of the Air Max 95? Sounds convenient. So you probably heard that Stevie Williams, professional skateboarder, is upset with Eric Costin and Nike SB. And that is because he was one of the first people to skateboard in the Air Max 95. This shoe right here, the neons, there is a famous photo and video of him doing a switch heel flip in this shoe. So why is that a big deal? At the time, it was pretty unusual to see somebody skateboarding in a pair of Nikes. If they did, it was a Dunk or the Jordan 1. Something along those lines, maybe the Jordan 3. Not a pair of Air Max, and especially not Air Max 95s. Very unusual for that to be. So that's why when you see Stevie Williams doing that heel flip in a Packers jersey and the Air Max 95 neons, that it's polarizing. That does not look like the normal skateboarder that we see right now. They don't look like Tony Hawk. They're not wearing birdhouse and element stuff and just wearing the traditional skateboarding uniform. Here's the deal. Stevie Williams is one of the most influential people in skateboarding, period, especially at that time. And I don't want to lose you guys by going too deep in the skateboarding bag. I get it that some of you just might not care about skateboarding at all. This is a skateboarding shoe. Bear with me a second and maybe even learn something here. In the late 90s and early 2000s, Stevie Williams and Josh Cactus were hand in hand. They were two people coming up in the skateboard scene, and they were absolutely some of the most influential people in the sport, in the space, everything. The way that they dressed, the way that they talked, where they were skateboarding. They were skateboarding mostly at Love Park in Philadelphia. And yeah, there was other people skateboarding at Love Park, but not like this, and they did not put it on the map quite like Stevie Williams and Josh Cactus. I remember little me just watching those parts being like, man, I just want to go to Philly. I just want to go to Love Park, not knowing anything about the scene or what it was like at that time, but I just remember watching that and being like, man, I want to go there. They didn't look like any other skateboarders. Again, extremely influential. And the reason that Stevie Williams doing that heel flip in the Air Max 95 was so big is just because it was different than anything else in skateboarding at that time. Prior to Nike SB announcing they were doing a 95, that picture is iconic. I've talked about it on this channel prior to all of that before. And it is really hard to believe that Nike SB chose the Air Max 95 on its own, and that photo didn't have anything to do with it. It sounds fishy. It really does sound fishy. Honestly, that picture definitely played a part in Nike skateboarding choosing the next SB model. Think about how many models are in between the Jordan 4 and the 95. So where the controversy comes into play is Nike SB not including Stevie Williams in this rollout, not giving him the credit. It just feels like Eric Costin is completely stealing the clout and the imagery that Stevie created back in the late 90s. Costin would call these chillers, and the campaign slogan for this is Run, Skate, Chill. Guess who else would often say Run, Skate, Chill? And the reason, in 1999, in the beginning, Stevie would describe Run, Skate, Chill as in run from the cops from Love Park in Philadelphia, skate when the coast is clear, and then just chill.
I think it's kind of fun when the cops come. Like, run, skate, chill, like, go to the store.
Now, apparently it's not trademarked, and that's not even the biggest piece of the story. It's just the inspiration. Like, come on. And you know, Complex Sneakers did an interview with Costin, and Matt Welty asked Costin about that moment.
Bottom there and then...
Skated in them?
No.
Chillers.
Do you
remember seeing Stevie do when they first did the switch heel flip in the 95s? Were you like, what the heck? Or just really thought it was cool?
No, it was just like, oh, he probably was chilling or forgot his shoes, whatever.
And I just didn't really like the answer there. And shout out to Welty because he did a really good job in that interview. And it's just such a known moment. He asked Costin, what'd you think about Stevie doing that switch heel flip? And he just said Stevie. Like, people know Stevie Williams and that moment very well, that Costin knew exactly who he was talking about and what he was talking about. And it just would have been a really good moment to say, yeah, that inspired us. That's why we went with the 95. So we said a lot here. Let me know down in the comment section, did you grab a pair of these 95 SBs? Do you like the way they fit? Are they in your top 10? And what do you think about the controversy? Should Stevie Williams have been, part of this campaign? Before you get out of here, make sure you subscribe and hit that thumbs up on this video. I appreciate you guys. I have a bunch of other stuff out there. Go check it out. I'll catch you next time. Peace.